So we're going to start off with a little bit of surprise, a little bit of sale news here. So this is coming in from French reports, which I want to sort of merge with two stories here. So effectively, I have this here. This is coming in from Nice, funnily enough. Reports coming in from Nice that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's side are now less confident of securing the takeover of Manchester United. Now, just how much weight you can put on this, I don't know. But it drew my attention this morning when I woke up, more so than the article in the Mirror yesterday, which basically said that the Glazers are uniting together behind a full sale now. I didn't really pick up on it yesterday, and it was in the Mirror, and they were basically saying that it's a blow for Sir Jim because Joel and Avram are now uniting with the other siblings and in agreement that the best course of action appears to be a full sale, which would obviously suggest Qatar, which we suspect at the moment are the current favourites. But I find this story really interesting because this is coming in from France, it's coming in from Nice reports, and it's basically saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is losing confidence in his ability to acquire Manchester United. Now, interestingly enough, this is the sort of story we like to discuss because it has a little bit of a backstory to what we were talking about last week, but it's also not the clear, it's not Rio Ferdinand outside on his phone, outside a train saying the deal's done. There's actually depth to what we're talking about in the sense that the same article goes on to say Ineos are still very focused on buying Manchester United. So it's not they're out of the race, it's not they've lost the race. It's that they do want to buy Manchester United, and they're still very much involved in the process, but they're losing confidence in their ability to actually win. And those types of stories, for me, and I'm sure for some of you as well, are far more encouraging than a headline or a video where someone says, it's done, it's going to happen, Qatar are going to win, we're hearing from this source that nobody knows who it is. That doesn't mean that that's not going to happen, by the way. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I prefer these sort of stories where they're coming in from the region where Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns a football club, France, and there's a little bit more honesty to it because it's saying, Ineos do want to buy Manchester United. Sir Jim still is in the race to buy them, but they're slowly losing confidence that can happen. Because I just don't trust the whole Sir Jim's out the race. Sir Jim's given up. He spent 6 months, he got very close to buying us and he's just given up. This is more genuine, I think. This is more, they want to buy United, but ultimately they feel they're losing the race. And it also does have elements of truth in relation to two things. One, a year ago, when he tried to buy Chelsea, he didn't back out of the race. He lost. He didn't back out. He knew he was the underdog to Todd Bowley, and he made a play that his bid, even though it was lower, was better for the future of Chelsea. He didn't give up. He didn't back out. He just lost. And this reads a little bit like that. They're not giving up. They're not backing out. They're just losing confidence. And also, if you remember last week when we had Ben Jacobs on the channel, what did he say? I think it was Ben Jacobs. We spoke to so many people last week and we read so many things last week. But what was said was, to be honest with you, all the stories about deal done with Qatar and Qatar are going to win and Qatar have, already won and the share price means this, that and the other. What you normally get in this situation first, and George, welcome to the Members Club, what you normally get in a situation like this, and we were talking about this last week, and this is where this gets interesting, is in a race like this, you normally get an indication of who's going to win from the side of the team that's going to lose. And are we starting to get that there? And what that means is the side that's going to lose in the sale tends to start briefing out that they're not going to win, because obviously they've got to protect their brand, their PR, and they've got to just sort of they've got to get a statement out of some sort. Are we starting to get that sort of thing from the Sir Jim side? We're losing confidence, we're losing that race, because that traditionally happens quite a lot in sales. The team that loses briefs first. So let's just see how that develops. I don't propose to spend loads of time on this morning, but I actually do think that is a really interesting update for a news show. Let's wait and see what happens with it. As for whether the Glazers are uniting behind a full sale, I don't really think that's breaking news. We already know from a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, They tried to get the PSG president to act as a go-between. If the Glazers didn't want a full sale, why have they been doing that for the last 6 months? So, disgusted if he's our only midfield signing. Him and Casemiro with Bruno ahead is solid. It's the backup I'm worried about. Bruno has to play at number 10, says Glenn. Sir Jim and Ineos probably didn't think Qatar would match the Glazers' asking price, but too bad for them. The Qataris just did. No way Sir Jim can win now, says Navin. And as much as I would love Qatar to own United now, Sir Jim Radcliffe is definitely going to bid again. And I guess Kane is going to be the De Jong of this transfer window, says Salim. And thank you very much for those super chats early on. I'll say what I've always said. If Sir Jim Radcliffe ends up buying this football club and keeping the Glazers, I think he's an enemy of the football club, because anybody who keeps the Glazers is an enemy of the football club, because they've been an enemy of the football club for the last 20 years. But ultimately, if that's our future, we'll have to just get on with it. But at the moment, I think everybody's feeling Qatari, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we end up. Thoughts on the Iqbal deal? As an Iraqi, I hate it, says Modern. Just go and watch the first few minutes of last night's video, mate. I said it all. Mark, wake me up when we have new owners, says Shabazz. You'll be sleeping and hibernating longer than a bloody turtle. I can't wake you up when we've got new owners, because God knows when it'll happen. But look, let's move on. I thought that was an interesting development, but we will move on. Maybe we'll recircle back onto that. But as I say, that's coming in from the Sir Jim Radcliffe side potentially, and I think that holds good sway for various reasons. Now, I want to talk about the Harry Kane thing, but I've got a bit of an exclusive for you around Manchester United. I want to just give a little bit of a backstory to this. So the Daily Mail put an article out last night, mainly about Harry Kane, but this was there. The increasingly likely scenario around the goalkeeper situation is that David De Gea will leave as a free agent next week. Means Ten Hag may also be in the market for a new number one. There is reports coming in from Di Marzio saying that Manchester United are definitely interested in Onana. Inter are waiting to see if United follow up their interest with talks or an offer. What I can tell you from very, very good, reliable Manchester United sources is that basically I asked the question, are we likely to get any resolution on the goalkeeper situation this week? I was told not necessarily. It could go into next week. There's lots of moving parts around what's happening here. Clarifying what those moving parts are very interesting. But more importantly, the Onana story is true but false. United are not pinning their hopes on Onana, and they are not removing Costa, Raya or anybody else from the equation. That doesn't mean we're in for Raya, it doesn't mean we're in for Costa, it doesn't mean we're not in for Onana. But Manchester United are not focusing in on one goalkeeper target at the moment. And this is coming in from the club, and they'll tell any journalist this, and they'll tell anybody who asks this. They are not focusing in exclusively on Onana, and in relation to David De Gea, they're not actually expecting a big announcement this week around that. It could well go into next week. So, look, let's wait and see what happens with it.